Okay, so before we get started with making a beat, you need to learn how to download the software. I'll leave a link in the bottom for how to download FL Studio on Mac and Windows. So it works on both Mac and Windows. If you're running Linux, probably have to use Wine, but it's kind of a pain to set up, and I would recommend just using different software such as LMMS, which is free. There might be some trial versions for other DAWs, but I'm not sure. I recommend LMMS, however, for Linux users, and FLStudio trial for Mac or Windows. Once you've got FL Studio opened up, you're going to want to familiarize yourself with all of the components. Over here on the left, you've got a file menu, and this is just a menu that has every single sound that you can find. Comes installed with packs. You have all of these drum sounds, as well as instruments, risers, loops, things like that. You've got plugins as well to create sounds, a generator for a sound. So this is just your file menu on the left, and it's got everything you need. Something that's really important is this little box that I'm hovering over, is the hint panel. So anytime you hover over anything, it'll tell you what you're hovering over. So if you're stuck and you don't know what this button does, just look at the hint panel and it tells you what it is. Up here you've got your file menu to open files, as well as, save, export, things like that. Here you've got pattern and song mode, so you can be in song mode or you can be in pattern mode, and I'll explain that later. You've got pause, play, stop, record. This is your tempo, and you can just left click drag to change that. I'm going to keep it at 140 for the sake of this tutorial. You can turn on metronome, and then just a few other things. I don't use these very often. And then you've got typing keyboard to piano keyboard. So if this is on, whenever you press a button on your keyboard, it will create a noise based on the instrument you have selected. So your keyboard becomes a piano basically. And then this right here, this is your pattern selector. The way FL Studio works is you make a bunch of different patterns. So you'll have, a drum pattern and a piano pattern, and you can piece those patterns together to create a song. The main 4 buttons that you want to learn are these 4. You've got your view playlist, which is what we're looking at right now. This playlist is just a window. This is a big, let me close that. This is just a big empty space. This is your workspace. And I like to keep my playlist in the background maximized, because this is where you'll put your full song. So you click the first button to open up this song editor or playlist. Then you can open up the piano roll. This is just a piano on the left, and you can map notes however you like. And then you've got the channel rack. This is where you'll place your instruments. And this is your mixer. The mixer is where all of your sounds will go. They'll go to different inserts and then to the master. And that's where all of the audio comes in, is at the master mixer track. But for now, we just need to focus on the channel rack. That is the 3rd button to open the channel rack. And to start out, you'll probably want to open packs and find some drums that you like. I would recommend finding a kick that you like, a hi-hat, a clap, or a snare. I'm going to use some drums I already have on my computer, but if you need some, just open packs. When you find a clap or a kick or any instrument that you like, for that matter, or a plugin, you just click and drag into your channel rack and put it in an empty spot, and it'll create that instrument on the channel rack. So I've chosen a kick, a hi-hat, and a clap, and I think I'm gonna go and get 1 extra percussion instrument, and that'll be enough for the percussion. So this is all I've got now. First step, I like to name my pattern. This is going to be my percussion pattern, just so that it's easier to reference later. And I'm going to start making a kick pattern. Now, to make kick notes, you will see that this is where my kick is, and then these little squares represent a measure. So there's 4, and that's 1 beat. There's another 4 squares, they're in a different color, that's beat 2. These 4 squares are part of beat 3, and these 4 squares are part of beat 4. And this group of 16 little squares makes 1 measure. So to start laying out a pattern for the kick, we're going to just put a kick down on beat 1. I'm going to press the space bar, and also you're going to want to make sure we're in pattern mode, because we're currently editing a pattern and we have nothing in the song, the playlist. Since there's nothing in the playlist, we can't listen to the song, right? Because nothing's going to play. But we do have 1 kick in the pattern, so we'll hear the kick in the pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down, actually we'll start with claps, that's easier. So I'm going to lay down a clap on beat 2, just kidding, beat 3, and then I'm going to lay down one on beat 3 of the 2nd measure, beat 3 of the 3rd measure, and beat 3 of the 4th measure. And then for the kick, so that's how simple it is to set up a nice little beat. I'm going to right click hi-hat, fill each 2 steps, and that's going to fill every single other square. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rim. I'm going to open up rim. So this window is everything about that 1 rim file. This is the rim file. It's just, it's a sine wave that's been altered. So now it looks all weird, and it just makes a rim sound. Every single sound in this, basically all music starts out with just a sine wave, and then you can edit those, and you get this weird looking wave, and it makes that sound. But it's a little too high pitched, and it blends in with the hi-hat too much, so I'm gonna pitch it down. It's too much. I like that better. Alright, so here's a simple little beat. We're gonna go ahead and open our playlist. We have our percussion pattern selected, so we're gonna go ahead and place that in. Place it in, you can see that it takes up 4 measures. And if we were to play it in a song, let's just say that the song ended right here. It's gonna end, and then the song's gonna repeat. But when you export it, it'll just play this once, and it'll be over because we don't have anything after it. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna scroll wheel up to create pattern 2. I'm gonna middle mouse click it, and I'm gonna change the name to piano. Ooh, that's not how you spell piano. So now I've got a piano pattern. It's a different color. If I place it here, we'll see that it's empty, there's nothing there. But I generally want to make it, 4 measures or 2 measures, or maybe even 8 measures. But I generally want to do it divisible by 2 and 4. That way, when I place it, if it's just divisible by 2, it'll group well with the percussion, and it'll loop nicely and match. I'm gonna go into pattern mode, so we're just listening to the piano. This is our piano pattern. You can see that we still have these other instruments. We could put them in our piano pattern, but that's kind of seems silly. I'm gonna open packs, instruments, keyboard, and I'm gonna drag in the grand piano. this will load up a giant little window. You don't have to worry about it. You'll see there's all this stuff in here. That's a lot to look at. Really doesn't matter, it's just a preset. But if we right click the piano and click piano roll, now we're in the piano roll. Make sure I have typing keyboard to piano keyboard on. And then when I type in my keyboard, you'll hear noise. I'm gonna go ahead and just tinker around a little bit until I find something I like. You don't need to be, a musical genius to make stuff. You just need to be able to listen to what you think sounds good, and then you can copy that down and use it later. If you click control, you can see that there's also channel pitch, channel volume, channel panning, release, things like that. I'm just going to work with velocity for now. I think it hits a little bit too harsh, so I'm just going to drag the top notes down a little bit. You can use this, but since there are 3 notes in that position, this is actually controlling 3 notes at once. So what I will do is I'm going to hover over the note, press Alt, and then scroll wheel. I like that, so let's get a song and we'll be able to hear the percussion and the piano layered together. So right now all we have is just one percussion and one piano. If we were to export this now, we would get basically a about 8-second long song. That's about it, just 8 seconds. So what we want to do is select this percussion. We can select over here and replace it, or you can actually control drag to select everything and do control B to batch paste, and it'll just copy it over. So that's easy. We went from having an 8-second song to having a 40-second song, which is quite a bit better. So that sounds pretty nice for now. The next step, if you want to get better than that, or if you want to make more than that, I'm going to make a new pattern, and we're going to call this the, lead, right? Because all we have right now are piano chords. We don't have a melody, and you don't necessarily need a melody, but I'd like to make one now. So I'm going to go to Plugin Database. I'm going to go to Generators, Synth Classic. Actually, I'm going to go to Synth Special. I'm going to open up my channel rack, and I'm going to drag Autogun, which is free, underneath my close grant. So Autogun is a plugin, just like all of these. And what these generators do is they generate sounds. So it's basically just an instrument, but it's got a lot more, options than a rim, because a rim is just a rim. It's always going to be a rim. Autogun, well, right now it's that weird sound. I'm going to click right a few times. Now it's this sound. So you've just got a lot more. It's a generator. It makes a lot more sounds than just a rim. Now, some of these are a lot more. You get a lot more freedom with what you can do if you use Harmor, or you come and use Citrus or SimSynth. But for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to use Autogun, which makes the sounds for you. I'm going to drag this volume knob down a little bit, and the way I know it's a volume knob is when I hover over it, the hint panel on the top left says master level. Master level means master volume for this instrument. And then there's magic dust. That's just magic dust. What can I say? Alright, so I found a sound I like. It sounds like this. I'm going to go ahead, open up the piano roll, make sure I'm in my new pattern, not the So you want to make sure that you play or you mess around in the right key, or else it's going to sound bad. So the way you find out what your key is, just copy the notes of your chords. So I know I can use these 3 notes. Now, when you play this chord, there are more notes than this that you can use, right? Like I'm going to be using C and D. So when you listen to me play these notes, you'll hear the D and the C sound cool. They sound good because they're in the right key. And sometimes you can make notes that sound good and are still in the wrong key. But if it sounds good, then who cares? It sounds good. That's really what you're going after. So I'm just going to play notes, and if it sounds wrong, it's probably not in the right key. If it sounds right, it's in the right key probably. I'm going to go ahead and place this pattern inside of my song editor early, even though it's empty. That way when I have it playing, I can hear my additions in time with the rest. This melody, and that was me just banging on my keyboard, not really having a general direction. I was just playing notes that work. And you can see that the notes are a little bit off because nobody's perfect. Well, I'm not perfect, and you know, I could fix it, but I kind of like the way it sounds messed up. If you want to create a slide or if you want to make a slide, you can use portamento or slide. I like to use both if I'm not using an 808. And the next note we'll play while these are on is a slide note. So the length of the slide note determines how long it will take for the note underneath it to slide up to that note. And the length of the bottom note after the end of the slide note will determine how long it'll stay slid up or down. So here, it's going to stay at D4, it's going to start sliding up, and it's going to reach G4 by this time right here at the end, and stay G4 until here, which is when this note ends. So that is the basics of the beat. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of finishing touches to make it sound better. Once you're finished with your beat, you can click File. You obviously want to make sure you've saved it. I'm going to go ahead and save mine as tutorial beat. And once I want to export it into an actual song, I'll export. Choose WAV or MP3. WAV is higher quality but a larger file size. MP3, you can't really hear much of a difference, but it's there and it'll be a lot smaller of a file size. I'm going to go ahead and do a WAV file, and I'm going to save it. You can leave most of the stuff alone. Really, you just want to make sure you have it on full song, leave remainder, or cut remainder, but that'll sometimes kind of cut the sound abruptly to end, so I like to choose leave remainder. Other than that, if you're gonna upload your song somewhere, you definitely want to save loop markers, save playlist markers, save tempo information, stuff like that. But for this tutorial, I'm just gonna start rendering. So now it's gonna render your for it, and it'll make a nice little beep, and you'll be finished.